Your Excellency persistently encouraged me to put this project here. His vision for the country to creating the job and discouraging the importation of the steel into the Uganda. We have to be patriotic of our country and use the steel or any item manufactured in our country. Sir, currently Uganda is importing over $500 million steel per year. This project will reduce the trade deficit of Uganda by over $1 billion by not importing the steel which is currently imported, and also the exporting over $400 million per annum the steel from Uganda to the neighboring countries. The steel which will be produced here, which will be under the blast furnace technology, the top and the best technology of the world. There is no better technology have come till today to produce the quality steel in the world.
Under your visionary leadership, Your Excellency, the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development signed a mineral development agreement with Devik Steel Mills Uganda Limited and the National Cement Company. This was done on the 2nd of April, 2025. This agreement represents a shared commitment between Uganda and Kenya in the development of a regional iron and steel industry, which is anchored on principles of value addition, job creation, and sustainable resource utilization. This, in addition to other regional projects that include the East African Pipeline and the natural gas pipeline that are being jointly developed with Tanzania, the extension of the refined products pipeline from Kenya to Kampala, which will eventually go up to Kigali in Rwanda. This partnership is testament to the strides being made to strengthen the East African Community Region cooperation through trade and commercial diplomacy. At this juncture, allow me to take this opportunity to appreciate His Excellency, Dr. William Ruto, for your support, sir. And I would like to thank the Cabinet Secretary, my counterpart, James Opio Wadai. I'm just coming from Kenya, where we had strong discussions rotating around these projects that I have mentioned. But your word has been heard, and this Cabinet Secretary and the entire team are making sure that we implement your vision, Your Excellency, Dr. William Ruto, and Your Excellency, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Asante sana. Thank you so much for making us comfortable when we come to do work in Kenya. This is a landmark. It's a very historical event in Uganda's industrialization journey and significant milestone in the implementation of the government strategy on the mineral value addition, guided by the government's tenfold growth strategy, our National Development Plan 4, the National Industrial Policy, and our Vision 2040 that, among others, seek to convert these raw resources into manufactured goods, to create jobs, and foster sustainable economic growth, of course coming with technology transfer to the people of Uganda. Your Excellencies, the goal of my Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development is to achieve mineral-based industrialization, realizing value from petroleum resources and expand access to electricity and clean energy. And to achieve the goal, we have formulated policies and we have put in place a robust legal and regulatory framework, including the Mining and Minerals Act of 2022, the Mining and Minerals Licensing Regulations of 2023, and the Artisanal and Small-Scale Mining Regulations of 2025 to guide the development of the Uganda's mineral sector.
Sir, this project is many benefit. First is the jobs for Ugandans, which you always have advised me that we would like to put the industry which will employ my people and give them the security of the job. The project will directly employ 15,000 Ugandan. Makofi bana. I want to promise one more. In this factory, we will have over 5,000 Tororo people will be working, and I promise 90% job will be provided to the local community. Also, the taxes, what we will be generating will be the huge amount will be paying to the government for the government to benefit. CSR, also we have a feeding programs in the schools in Kenya and in Rwanda. We also have extra classes we build for the schools. We start school bursary for the student who need for the higher education. It may, and many more CSR activity we do. The investment over $500 here in Tororo and $70 million in Barara for the cement factory is not the small amount, but it is only we are doing because of your encouragement and the support and the confidence what is given by the Ugandan government to me. It will increase the investment by other investors also in the country. In Kabale, as you had wished to put one project, we have decided also to put one project there for $150 million, where we will be refining our iron ore and bring it to Tororo. So both the community is happy. In Tororo, we have to request that if we get 150 acre land and 15 megawatt power connection, within 2 months we will start the construction. 1,600 people of Kabale will get the job there.
What is the size of the GDP of the whole of Africa? My girl here checked on the internet. It is $2.8 trillion. The whole of Africa. What is the size of the GDP of USA? 30 trillion. The United States is a quarter of the land area of Africa, and their population is 1/5. But you here, our wealth, 2.8 trillion, America's wealth, 30 trillion. That's more than 10 times bigger. Now, this is what we saw when we were part of the student movement in the 1960s. And we told the leader at that time what I'm telling you today. And we had to go through many phases, fighting and so on. So when eventually we came into government, we put out the 10 points program of the NRM. And point number 5 was pointing to what is the cause of this stagnation of Africa. The cause is the hemorrhage of development energies from Africa to other parts of the world, especially initially the export of slaves, because initially slaves were being exported, labor, free labor was being exported. Then later on, now raw materials. So what we are doing here is not just launching a project. It is part of the liberation process of Africa. It is part of ending the betrayal, usaliti of Africa. Now, what you Africans need to know is the power of the pocket, the purchasing power. You can imagine the money we are giving to foreigners. $500 million a year from Uganda to foreigners. This is a lot of support for them. Kenya, you have had $800 million. This is a lot of support. So if that money remains in our pocket, instead of giving it to others, we shall be much better off. So nobody should tell you that we don't have power. We have power, but we don't use it. The power of the pocket, purchasing power is power. We have been buying Japanese vehicles ever since 1962, when we got independence. I started seeing Japanese vehicles here. Previously, we were using British vehicles. But with independence, we started getting Japanese vehicles. And by the time we came from fighting Yamin, Japanese vehicles had taken over from the British and the German. So I talked to the Japanese, can you come and assemble your vehicles in Uganda? They were not interested. But now, we are making our own vehicles from beginning to end. So the Japanese now came and say, I want to assemble. I said, no, sorry, too late. I can't allow you. You lost your chance. Because assembling means you bring the same vehicle, knock down, and you just put it together here. The only saving is like 15%. But this shows you the power of the pocket. How much has Africa been spending on Japanese vehicles since 1962, when I started seeing these vehicles coming? It is very important that Africans really wake up and know their interests. I want to salute His Excellency Ruto. He's a real Pan-Africanist. The man is going to invest $500 million here. And he has already helped us with the cement. He has got a very good track record. What he says, he does. I'm very happy with him. And I want him to bring more gurus. Are there more reverends there? Indian reverends. He's going to bring more reverends, Indian reverends. And I want to thank His Excellency Ruto for encouraging him and for being together with us. We are fully aligned with His Excellency Ruto on the issue of the Pan-African vision. These roads, the transport system, is now irrational. We need to rationalize it. Why is it irrational? Barabara, the road, they are small cars. They are railways carrying cargo. They are petrol tankers carrying petrol, all on the road. So we need to disaggregate, separate. Fuel pipeline, toka kwa barabara. You go through the pipeline. Mizigo, gari moshi. Mizigo mikubwa. The train. Barabara, light cargo and passenger. And you heard what he was saying about also the dual carriaging the roads instead of just two lanes. So I'm very happy with what His Excellency is doing on the pipeline. I thank him and congratulate him. We are going to co-invest in that one together, all the way up to the Congo border, so that we take. And even these people who steal fuel from vehicles, they will not have chance to steal because it is in the pipeline. Now, Garimoshi, the standard gauge railway. That one I want to congratulate him, moving from Naivasha to the border now. And we are already working here. So we are going to go up to Kampala, from Kampala to Bwera, Kasese, then to Rwanda, then South Sudan. So the future, what is happening here shows you that the future is very bright. This iron ore, the hematite, which is very pure, some years ago, not in Kabare, but another place called Kanungu, there's also the same hematite there. A group came from India, and they agreed with my local villagers there in Kanungu to export unprocessed iron ore, obtare. I was telling you, Guru, they don't have enough words in English. So I was giving him our words here. Obtare. Obtare is the word for iron ore. So those fellows had agreed with an Indian company to sell obtare to India. And then when I called them, how much are you going to get? $47 a ton. And how much would this Indian get? That time it was like $900 a ton. And then all the jobs would go. You would lose money, you would lose jobs. So what we are doing here is extending what I have done in the whole sector of minerals. I have banned the export of unprocessed minerals, all of them. Let them stay in the ground. If the present generation are asleep, kama watu wale wamelala, labda huko mbele wengine watakuja ambao wako na macho ya kuona. So I want to congratulate Dr. Guru for helping us fulfill our vision of adding value to this butare. Mpigie makofi. Now, Garimoshi, the standard gauge railway. That one I want to congratulate him, moving from Naivasha to the border now. And we are already working here. So we are going to go up to Kampala, from Kampala to Bwera, Kasese, then to Rwanda, then South Sudan. So the future, what is happening here shows you that the future is very bright. Now you have heard the implications of this project. Uganda is now squandering $500 million per year to export flat sheets and the other metals from which we make mabati and make mtayimbwa. Mtayimbwa, Wakenya wanaita mtayimbwa chuma. Chuma. But here, chuma is general word for steel, for metal. But for the steel bars, we can lend here a word called mitayimbwa. That's what we mean by steel bars. I have already told Mr. Guru. So these raw materials for those intermediate products for mabati and from Tayimbwa are taking much of the money. The other specialized steel, like the one of the railway and the dams, that one we may not go for because we need to be sure about the demand. But for the mabati and for the Mtayimbwa, we must support Mr. Guru to produce them here, so that, because that's the biggest money that is going, the 500 million. And I hear that East Africa spends 5 billion on steel products, steel imports. You have heard that Kenya spends $800 million. That's what the president told you. So this is really squandering of Africa's resources. That's why you see the GDP is stunted, 2.8 trillion. That's more or less like the GDP of one smaller country like UK. If you see the GDP of UK is maybe about that. But here we are, 1.5 billion people, with presidents, prime ministers, ministers, all sorts of excellencies, but with 2.8 trillion for the whole continent, when the USA has got a GDP of 30 trillion. This is really shameful. So I'm very glad that we are here. You are all part of the liberation process. I want to thank you, Mr. Guru. Thank you very much. And I want to thank your tough wife who makes you do things. And I want to thank His Excellency na Wakenya wote kwa kutuunga mkono kwa hatua hii.